Pokémon Champions is here, so I can finally see if my immediate concern about this game was justified. When Champions was announced, I was worried it would be an excuse for the mainline games to abandon traditional turn-based battles like the Legends games have, and as we learned more about the game, it added concerns around monetization and overall quality. Well, I'm sad to say this game is being hated on dramatically more than I ever could have imagined. So we're going to go through the long list of problems this game has. Right from the beginning, you notice the visual quality. Everything in Champions outside of the opening cutscene is blurry and runs like it is struggling. The frame rate feels pretty rough, the character animations are incredibly slow, many of the move animations are worse than ever, and basically nothing that's supposed to be rounded or curved is smooth. The game kicks off with a long tutorial that forces you into specific Pokemon and move choices, but for some reason they chose Body Slam and Bullet Seed to be the very first moves they try to impress you with. Body Slam looks the way it always has, but Bullet Seed is almost funny, it's so bland. It feels like every day I miss Pokemon Sword and Shield more. Do you remember how good Bullet Seed used to look in those games? Champions also doesn't seem to have made any new models or upgrades, so they throw in random models from different games, making the stark difference between the quality of the Scarlet and Violet Kanto starter models and anybody else front and center issue straight from the tutorial battle. But once you get past that section and into the real game, maybe things kick into gear. There are 3 ways to get Pokemon in Champions, none of which I like. Option 1 is to recruit a Pokemon in-game using points you earn from playing. These Pokemon come with a set nature, EVs, or whatever the new version of them is called, and moves, all of which you can change later for even more points. The second way is to unlock them through the paid Battle Pass, then you also need points to edit the movesets and such later. The third way is to transfer them in from Pokemon Home, but since Legend ZA doesn't have abilities, and a lot of moves just aren't in Champions, you will still have to pay points to train your Pokemon and adjust their moves or abilities or natures. Transferring between your games, home, and Champions will require a few updates and switching back and forth between games a lot more than you would think, but eventually, you'll get to add some Pokemon, but only 30. And a big chunk of those 30 is already filled by tutorial Pokemon automatically. I transferred over about a dozen Pokemon, none of which were trained for competitive, because all my Scarlet and Violet competitively bred and trained Pokemon aren't on the very small list of available Pokemon for this game. Champions has less than 200 Pokemon you're allowed to use, many of which are weird filler ones like Arbok that basically nobody's going to use. Some are great Pokemon like Milotic, who are then held back by the lack of items. Champions basically only has berries, Megastones, and the type boosting items, and a couple extras. No choice items, no flame orb, no eject button, covert cloak, etc, etc. But don't worry, the Oran Berry is here. The game starts you off with 7,000 points to use. Is 7,000 a lot? Well, buying one piece of clothing for your character can cost 4,000, so no, not really. Depending on how many Pokemon's moves or natures or abilities you need to change, I'd say 7,000 is just enough to get your first team. I basically blew through all my points to edit 4 Pokemon and buy a pair of cheap glasses. But once you get your team together and want to start battling, you can choose your battle style and music. The only styles available are 4v4 doubles and 3v3 singles, which means the format Pokemon has had for 30 years is gone. There are no 6v6 singles, not in ranked battles, not even in a friendly custom battle with your buddy. The game will not allow you to do a normal Pokemon battle. This kills me. This feels like the absolute bare minimum this game had to have. I don't expect a ranked ladder, I don't expect the game to follow Smogon tiers, I don't even expect to earn points through a friendly Wi-Fi battle. But not being allowed to have a normal Pokemon battle is ridiculous. But whatever, maybe you love VGC's format, and you just want to play with that, but with limited Pokemon and no good items. Sweet, you can select your battle music and get into it. Oh wait, all the battle music has to be paid for. That's Pokemon Black and White music. It only has the trainer. It just says the... Oh, I don't have any for that one. Dude, this is like... next level stupid. Well, whatever. You can just use the default music until you earn up enough points. Nope, a lot of the music is also then locked behind the premium membership, which is $70 plus your patriotic 15% tax a year, with the battle pass being another $14. And once you're in a battle, the arena does look cool. Weather effects are displayed on the screen, replacing the fake ads that normally show, and I personally like the Battle Revolution-esque look it has. Also in the arena, rather than the dojo, the horrible PlayStation 2 audience is hidden in shadow. Look, we have the Sword and Shield classic of trainers in the background just like jumping and yelling. Except it's just on this 1 second loop and it looks like shit. Look at this guy! Why does he look like that? I'm so upset to have been right about this game just being terrible. I much prefer, even though they're still like super low quality, when they're in the shadow like that, I like it more. Normally, I hate the PS2 jokes about Pokemon because they started with Sword and Shield, which are beautiful games the community tore to shreds over nothing. But here, they kind of apply. I think Sword and Shield are a good comparison. This game feels like a heavily restricted Dexit situation, but instead of adding new Pokemon items and moves to compensate, this game removes so many of those and messes around with game mechanics, like Mega Evolution Order, Sleep Turns, Priority Move interactions, and more, and mostly for the worse. While also deleting IVs and not including not fully evolved Pokemon other than Pikachu, but I guess that doesn't matter anyway because the Eviolite no longer exists. In the battles themselves, I think it looks like a lesser version of Sword and Shield. Some moves have cooler effects, many don't. The stadium gives a similar vibe mixed with Battle Revolution, but overall, the game is incredibly disappointing. So let's just rapid fire a list of issues before I can say my final thoughts. Barely any Pokemon, almost no items, some of the few Pokemon are useless because of the lack of those items, Pokemon music locked behind paywalls, slow frame rate and input lag, horribly restrictive game trying to push you into paying for a slightly less restrictive experience, no match replay or record function, your friends list doesn't transfer over, foggy low-resolution visuals, matchmaking glitches that just keep you stuck in a menu loop forever, no 6v6, which is the only style of Pokemon I have or ever will enjoy, doubles or singles, awkward layout needing to constantly switch between games and apps to get set up, no single player, and I don't mean Coliseum or XD style story modes, I mean no single player content at all, no AI bosses, no different areas to explore, nothing. And the fact that Ilka gets yet another chance to butcher something easy. And the worst part of all of this is just like BDSP and Home, I still like it. Like, despite all three of these games failing on almost every level, making every wrong decision possible, and releasing in embarrassingly clunky states, the core idea of all three of these games is enough to make them fun. Sweet. I didn't Mega Evolve! I forgot to Mega Evolve! Oh, well. I killed him anyway. Aw, don't hit mine. No! Okay, lives. You're now being returned to the top. Because the data it's 9 o'clock! What? This game is so... And the fucking news thing reopened. This game is so weird. It's really cool using an Emolga. As weird as the starting roster is, I'm happy Emolga is one of them. I'm gonna gamble this whole battle on this rock slide. I'm gonna gamble the entire battle on this rock slide. And he flinched. Perfect. Oh my god, the double flinch! Alright. We just fire off another one, he's minus defense, and multi-scale is gone. Why not? Well, helping hand, too. Don't miss, don't miss. Oh, he outspeeds because the speed boost. I live it though, right? I don't even kind of live it. I kind of hate to say it because I spent 2 days trash talking it, but I enjoy playing Pokémon Champions. It not only fixes exactly 0 of the issues facing competitive Pokemon, it makes it more expensive, more tedious, more confusing, and disastrously fails at preserving any of the competitive aspects people actually enjoy. At the end of the day, being able to press a find match button and have a mostly cool looking and sounding Pokemon battle is such a golden idea that I've been spamming my Mega Crabominable and Emolga strategy nonstop. And even with barely any Pokemon or items, if this game had a 6v6 singles mode, I would play it all the time. Pokémon Champions does need dramatic changes, but the core idea of a Pokemon Battle Revolution on the Switch is a good idea. I hate that it feels like the quality was killed so it could also be on mobile, and I am still scared future Pokemon games will go in a direction I don't like because battles are now on Champions. But this style of game is fun, even if they made every wrong decision humanly possible. Well, I gotta get back to working on my next Nuzlocke video, but if you want to watch some of the best Pokemon content on YouTube, check out my Legends Arceus art lock or my BDSP Soul link on screen now, and remember to subscribe. Thanks.